Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Bhakti Center in New York City, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Thursday. It's Thursday, Srimad Bhagavatam study. And Mara just came up with some great information. Read it again, Mara.
That your lifespan is more determined by your mother than your father, according to a quick Google search in WebMD.
WebMD right there.
Well, yeah. You got to go to well, that might be bad news for some people, but I've been rolling with this thing. Like yesterday, I got a lot of pushback because me and Kaustubha were saying, "Hey, this is our final stretch." Tom Messick wrote me. He's like, "What are you talking about? Final stretch? I'm on the final stretch." Then Papa Tony's like, "I'm on the final stretch." Everyone's writing in saying, "I'm on the final stretch." But because I said my father died young, at like 65, 64. His dad died even younger. And so I was thinking, this is it. This is my like absolute final stretch. But then Mara just said, it's by your mom. And my mom's 95, can do jumping jacks, completely like coherent, all her mental faculties, eats like it's nobody's business. She's doing great. I'm doing great. I'm not on my home stretch. I'm going to live forever.
You're on your home stretch, and don't forget it. Stay focused.
I can do whatever I want. Plenty of time for sinful behavior.
You're like become a Bhakti Center guy now. You've spent more time there this past week than I spent there in the past year and a half.
Well, you know what I'm doing tonight, Kaustubha? I'm leading the Thursday night kirtan.
The whole thing?
I don't know.
Who let you do that?
I'm taking over this place.
You're not taking it over.
I don't know. I don't know if I've even been to one. Is it one singer? Is it multiple singers?
No, it's multiple. And you've been to one. As a matter of fact, there's a photograph of you at one, like on the cover of the Swedish Chant and Be Happy.
Oh, that's from the Thursday night kirtan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great event. Everyone in the New York area should turn out for that. Raghunath.
Yeah, New Yorkers, New Jersey-ers, and Long Island-ers, Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not leading the whole thing. I got a little arrogant there.
Krishna
using Kaustubha cut me down to size. You're leading a tiny portion of it. A thin slice of the pie, Raghu.
Just the opening band.
I'm opening for the real heroes.
No, you're the headliner in my heart.
Oh, Kaustubha.
Yeah.
I went upstate yesterday. It was nice. I saw Urugaya, Damodar Priya, our Zoomers.
Wonderful family.
I had lunch with them. I had dinner with Jai Balai and Katie and their baby Rasika.
Did you see Amalini?
I didn't see Amalini. She was at camp.
Oh.
And I saw my kids. And I'm staying. I'm on a writing marathon.
Doesn't sound like it.
Oh, I know. It's true. I'm blaming Bhakti Justin if I'm not writing on time. I'm easily distracted.
I have noted that.
Anything you want to share, guys?
Anything happening today, Mara?
Yeah, actually, we have asana class with Michelle Berger at 6:30 a.m. this morning.
Michelle Berger.
For our
They're
Patreon
wonderful.
members.
She's very
And
wonderful.
Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at noon today.
Oh, I'm also after this at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be doing the Bhakti Center's daily Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Well,
You go to-
alrighty.
You go find. I don't know how you get. You go to the YouTube and Google Bhakti Center. I guess is the way you do that.
At that time, it's live
It's live here.
on YouTube. Can't get enough of
Actually,
Kaustubha.
I'm not even sure. Actually, it's not live on YouTube. I don't.
Watch it later in the
I
day.
don't even know how you get there. Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. But if
You're gonna
you
be
know
here.
how to get there,
You're gonna
go
do it
for
from home.
I'll do it from home.
Oh, all right.
All right.
I'm having. Guess who I'm having dinner with?
You're having friend with Harley.
I'm having dinner with Harley Flanagan tomorrow.
All right.
What's he called? Your Mark Sheba?
Vartma Pradarshika Guru.
Say it again.
Vartma
Put this one on the board, Mara. Basically for me.
Vartma Pradarshika.
Vartma Pradarshana.
Pradarshika. The one that shows you the path.
Okay. He was my I still can't pronounce it. It's been 30 years. I can't.
He showed me the path. Just say it like that.
Vartma. Look on the board. Is that right? Vartma.
Yeah.
Pradarshika.
That way phonetically.
He's my Vartma Pradarshika guru. He was the first one who told me about bhakti when we were teenagers.
And you still have that gratitude.
I still have that gratitude. Sure. He's a colorful character. And if you don't believe me, go to his Instagram page, Harley Flanagan. But I haven't talked to him in many, many years. And he just reached out to me and said, come up for dinner.
Do a little catching up.
Do a little catching up with Harley. He's your old buddy too.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, ready?
That's where you chant the mantras.
Secret mantras.
Yeah.
I love how our Zoom people, and you can't see this if you're watching, they just, if I say the mantra, they're immediately, religiously put their hands to their face. It's very beautiful to see. They're really it's like in a church when everyone kneels down, stand up, sit down, sing a song. They're very sincere and obedient. Ready? Watch. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, I want you to offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born blind in the darkness of ignorance, so my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. Alrighty.
What verse are we on, Mare?
I believe it's Canto 3, Chapter 15, Text 45. Or we read 45.
We read 45.
I think we read 45. Yeah, so we're on 46.
That's right. Oh, now the Kumaras are going to speak. All right. So the 4 Kumaras, these very elevated, spiritually very elevated sages, but they're in the forms of little boys, had wandered into the gates of Vaikuntha, to the gates of the spiritual world. They were prevented, their entry was prevented by the gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay. The 4 Kumars are like, what is this? What's with this attitude? They prepared to curse Jai and Vijay. Jai and Vijay said, we deserve it, but if we get cursed, we just ask one favor. What was that favor, Raghu? Hot seat?
Belgium waffles.
No.
No, what was it?
I'm going to keep you. I'm going to let you burn on this hot seat for that little Belgian waffle comment. Come on.
It was Association of Devotees. No, we never forget your
not
lotus
exactly.
feet.
We never forget you, right?
Never forget your lotus feet.
Yeah. Okay. And so then at that moment, Lord Vishnu floated on in on his bird carrier, Garuda. Very beautiful. It was a very beautiful scene, a scene worthy of one's meditation. And he's there to kind of look after both parties here, right? Both parties are dear to him. But first the Kumars begin to speak. And so we get to hear them now.
You know, Kaustubha, I was sort of happy. I was sort of like happy thinking I was going to die in 10 years. It's like a different paradigm thing. Well, I got time. Now my theme song is, I'm going to live forever. Fame. Right? What is that?
Yes, that's the theme song to fame.
All right, Prabhu, what verse is it? 46?
46, the Kumars said.
The Kumara said, Our dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father, Brahma, through the ears have now been actually realized by your kind appearance. So they heard about, and now they're seeing face to face.
Right. That's right. And he's not manifest to everyone, even though he's seated in everyone's heart. Right?
I think you have to be. There's many stories, Bridgebasi folk legends, that if you see God face to face, you see God face to face, like you lose it. You lose your mind. You must have to be like, get to a certain type of, I'm ready to see God. Like you haven't earned it. You haven't earned it. You can see God philosophically. You can see God through hearing. You can understand that an oak tree lives in a acorn, but you are not ready to see God yet. And then you get to this point where you fully are pure of your ego and you see God face to face. And they say that, ever heard that? Like if you go to Rasastali and you see, if you hide there under night, you hide there. They say Krishna comes there every night.
Well, I've heard that if you go to Rasastali, you lose it. Because
you lose your mind.
Yeah, but because you're trying to I assume the idea is that you're trying to impose yourself on the most
intimate thing. Yeah.
The most intimate pastimes.
Well, how about the story of Judge Babu? Sees God face to face, and he just quits everything, leaves his life, and goes to Vrindavan.
Well, there you go. It's a question of the right disposition, right?
Yeah.
In this commentary, Prabhupada writes, he says, although the first realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal Brahman, right? So like realizing that I am spirit, right? I am made of spiritual energy. That's
like people's first understanding that when they get into some spiritual path, sort of.
Yeah. And and therefore, like all my material suffering, that's actually been imposed upon my material mind, but that's not me either. And you let it all go, right? So that's the first realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth is like God exists as this divine light, this divine energy. And I'm made of that energy. I might misidentify myself with that energy and think that I am God himself, right? But so although the first realization of the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal Brahman, one should not remain satisfied with experiencing the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Lord. So that's where the Kumars are at right now. They're transferring from one level of spiritualization to the next, from the impersonal manifestation of the Supreme to the personal manifestation of the Supreme. In the Ishopanishad also, the devotee prays that the glaring effulgence of Brahman may be removed from his eyes so that he can see the real personal feature of the Lord and thus satisfy himself fully. Right? So even in the Upanishads, we find that the Upanishads, which are the texts with which they speak a lot of this level of realization, but within that text, you also find the prayer that I want to see beyond this divine light, and I want to see the person that's behind it. Okay. Similarly, although the Lord is not visible in the beginning because of his glaring bodily effulgence, if a devotee sincerely wants to see him, the Lord is revealed to him. It is said in
That's it.
Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
Eagerness
Yeah.
is everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, in bhakti,
We're
you
eager
gotta
for so
want.
many things, but
You want Krishna. He's a gentleman. He comes only when he's invited. You got to really eagerly invite Krishna into your life. He'll come.
yeah. He'll come. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord cannot be seen by our imperfect eyes. He cannot be heard by our imperfect ears, and he cannot be experienced by our imperfect senses. All right, these are all very limited instruments that don't extend to the transcendental energy. But that if one engages in devotional service with faith and devotion, then God reveals himself.
What is that like? Like if you're
Well,
not seeing Krishna with your eyes,
yeah.
you're not hearing him with this. What do you do? What's going on?
What do you mean?
Like what's going on when you see Krishna? When they get to that point for the first time, you've worked so hard, and then you can see Krishna face to face, like at will or at his sweet will. And what must that be like?
Yeah, like wouldn't it be great if there's like a book of like firsthand accounts of people that had gone through this?
Maybe you just become, there's that story of Vallabhacharya.
You totally missed. We're reading about what it's like right now, Bubba. You're asking. We're hearing
No,
about
I'm just saying, what does it feel? What does that feel like? Are you just like in stunned? Can you talk? Is everything out of your mouth like perfect poetry?
Sometimes it's like that, you know.
Is
Like
that what rapture is? What is rapture, Mara?
I don't know.
Wrong answer.
It's like I'm looking it up. but you know, we hear different things. Like we're going to hear throughout the Bhagavatam. We're going to exactly what you're discussing. We're going to read about it so many times. Now, here are the four Kumars. They had the bodily horripilation, right? It was saying that there was an internal as well as an external change for them, and we're going to hear more from them.
It's all making sense now.
Yeah, but like for instance, there is Dhruva. Remember Dhruva, right? That's which is coming up in the fourth canto.
Yeah.
Little boy gets all upset about how he's been treated, and he goes out to the forest to practice yoga to gain power. Like that was his motive.
Revenge was the motive, not
Yeah.
eagerness to see Lord Krishna.
Yeah, he wanted power. And but on the way to the forest, who does he meet?
Narada.
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 Yeah, Narada's who's like, you know, just pure representative of bhakti. So Narada tries to say, you know, what's this? You're just a kid. You're getting all concerned about power. Why don't you just like take it easy, let it go? And Dhruva responds,
No,
you can't do it.
can't do it. I'm furious.
Yeah, I'm furious. And so he says, okay, but then the Narada gives him this sadhana, this spiritual practice that is like bhakti related, right? Go to the forest, do your yoga, stand on one leg, and here's the breathing process that you do, and so forth. But also chant this mantra, which is a Krishna-centric mantra, right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he says also make a form of Lord Vishnu and worship that form, right? And he gives him so many bhakti-related instructions, and through doing that, there's an internal change. And then Lord Vishnu appears before him, right? Like he's in deep meditation, and his meditation breaks, and he's kind of upset about it. He opens his eyes. There's Lord Vishnu himself, and when he couldn't speak at first, you know. But do you remember what happens there?
No.
That Vishnu touches him with his conch shell, right? Lord Vishnu has four things. Here's a hot seat for Mara. What are the four things that Lord Vishnu carries?
She's going to get
in
this.
each
She
hand?
knows this. I get her with this all the time.
Conch shell,
Mhm.
a lotus,
Mhm.
a club,
Mhm.
and a disc.
Boom, she got him. And now for Raghunath, hot seat. What are they in Sanskrit?
Kanch, chakra, gadda. And-
It's not conch. That's an English word. Conch.
Oh, yeah. Shanka,
Yeah,
gada, padma, and chakra.
chakra. Right. So he touches him with the conch shell on the head, and when he does that, suddenly Dhruva is capable of speaking now, and not only speaking, but like he's just empowered from the heart to glorify Lord Vishnu, and he gives it long, beautiful prayers, just full of insight and wisdom in them, you know. So, sometimes people are able to speak, and sometimes they can't speak, and so on. But the Kumars, they appear to be able to speak, and they're speaking well here.
You know, there's some interesting thing. You know, on the message board here, No Dance Chance says he experienced rapture,
Okay.
sudden liberation to the kingdom of God.
I think you start to dance when that happens.
Yeah, No Dance Chance. Then a feeling, and then Jiva G says it's a feeling of intense pleasure and joy. And then Mara makes it a little bit more exclusive. The transporting of believers of heaven at the second coming of
Yeah,
Christ.
that's the way it's spoken about a lot, like in the evangelical.
The rapture.
Yeah, the rapture.
But I think it actually has a regular non-Christian meaning of rapture, like you're
get all wrapped up.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that a Blondie song? Rapture?
It is. Please don't sing it.
I gotta stay awake. I'm exhausted. I drove.
All right, why don't we stay awake by reading the next
46.
verse? 47.
47. We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy through unflinching devotional service by great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way.
Oh, read that again, please.
We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness.
Yes, so this form that's standing before him is not a material form. It's a form that's composed of Shuddha Sattva energy, which means it's beyond the material energy. It's not the material mode of, it's not made of any of the material modes of Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas.
Which I don't even know what that translates to in actuality.
What do you mean?
Can you touch it?
Yes, well, you can.
Is it like an apparition?
But it's not bound by the laws of the material energy. Like, for instance, time can't affect it. Right? Whereas like material
you
energy,
can see it.
you can see it, you can touch it.
I guess
It's
we've never
real.
seen it. So what makes me think I'm going to be able to understand it? It's self-effulgent.
Well, the point is that like I get the idea. Like, in other words, if it's not material, how can you see it? How can you touch it? Because it's another type of energy. You can still see it. You can still touch it, if you have the senses that if your senses are attuned to it.
All right, how about this one? Is it solid? Can I put my hand through it?
You can touch it. Yeah, of course. Like, you know, you can feel it.
Okay.
Okay, you're just making sure here. And then it goes on and says, this transcendental, eternal form. You see, just right there, eternal form. We see our experience with forms in the material realm is that form is subject to time.
Yeah.
And you name a form, and you know, you show me a material form, and I'll show you something that's disintegrating before our eyes, right? Due to the force of time.
Yeah.
But this form is different. It's an eternal form. So they say this transcendental, eternal form. Transcendental to what? Transcendental to the laws of material energy, right? Transcendental to time. Transcendental karma. Transcendental to the three gunas and their influences. So this transcendental, eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, right? It's not going to be understood through a microscope. It's not going to be understood through speculation. You know, it's not going to be understood through some kind of debate. It's understood when one has the right disposition, when one has humility, when one has the desire to serve, ultimately when one has divine love. So this transcendental, eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy through unflinching devotional service by great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way. Beautiful verse.
That's what we're
Right,
working on right now.
Yeah, it says right here, Bhakti-yogi, through devotional service.
Text
Udgruntaya. What is grunta?
the knot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grunt is not, right?
Yeah.
So udgruntayaha, without attachment, free from material bondage, hridi, in the heart, right? You understand this form. You have the vision of God when you untie that knot of material attachment that's within the heart. Then it's understood by great sages, by Muniyaha, great sages, who are viraga, who are not interested in material life.
So nice. So
Beautiful
nice.
stuff. You want to read the commentary?
Sure. Text 47.
No, the commentary. Yeah, to text 47.
Yeah, sure. The absolute truth can be understood in three features, namely impersonal, Brahman, localized, Paramātmā, or the supersoul, and Bhagavān, the supreme personality of Godhead. Here it is admitted that the personality of Godhead is the last word in understanding the absolute truth. Even though the four Kumaras were instructed by their great learned father, Brahma, they could not actually understand the absolute truth. They could only understand the supreme absolute truth when they personally saw the personality of Godhead with their own eyes. In other words, if one sees or understands the supreme personality of Godhead, the other two features of the absolute truth, namely impersonal and Brahman and localized Paramātmā, are also automatically understood. You get those immediately.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Therefore, the Kumaras confirm, you are the ultimate absolute truth. The impersonalist may argue that since the personality of Godhead was so nicely decorated, he was therefore not the absolute truth.
Okay, so that's what we were just talking about, right? It's like, well,
Right.
yeah, you're wearing clothes, you got features and qualities and so on, but isn't spirituality free of all that? But here it's saying no.
It's a good point.
The personalist may argue.
The impersonalist may argue that it's okay. Since they're so nicely decorated, he was there. But here it is confirmed that all the variegatedness of the absolute platform is constituted of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. In the material world, any quality, goodness, passion, or ignorance, is contaminated. Even the quality of goodness here in the material world is not free from the tinges of passion and ignorance. But in the transcendental world, only pure goodness without any tinge of passion or ignorance exists. Therefore, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his variegated pastimes and paraphernalia are all pure sattva guna. Such variegatedness in pure goodness is exhibited externally
Eternally.
by the Lord for the satisfaction of the devotee. The devotee does not want to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee does not want to see the Supreme Personality of the Absolute Truth in voidness or impersonalism. That would be horrible. In one sense, absolute transcendental variegatedness is meant only for the devotees, not for others, because this distinct feature of the transcendental variegatedness can be understood only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, not by mental speculation or the ascending process. Ascending means like just trying to figure stuff out on your own.
It's handed down.
Trial and error.
Yeah, it's handed down by people that
we don't have to
understand
go
it.
up. It's handed down.
You don't climb up on your own, but it's handed down. Yeah.
Yeah. It is said that one can understand the personality of Godhead when one is even slightly favored by him. Otherwise, without his mercy, a man may speculate for thousands of years and not understand what is actually the absolute truth. This mercy can be perceived by the devotee when he is completely freed from contamination. It is stated, therefore, that only when all the contamination is rooted out and the devotee is completely detached from the material attractions can they receive this mercy of the Lord.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a Bhagavad Gita verse somewhere, right? You have to.
Yeah. Was
when the contamination is rooted out and the completely detached from material attractions.
And that's what we're hearing about in this verse as well. In other words, that you have to let go in order to grab the next thing, right? And in order to have this vision, you have to let go of your material attachments. And so here that's being described as this grunt, this hriddhi grunta, right? This knot within the heart.
It's a great translation, isn't the knot in the heart?
Yeah.
That'd be a good name for a band too. Knot in the heart.
Or Knot in the Heart from Richmond, Virginia.
Harrisburg, Richmond. Well, it's just, it's interesting because if you're just like, atheistic and materialistic and self-absorbed, and it's like Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. I'm not manifest for the foolish and unintelligent. I'm not going to show myself to you. But here it's saying like even the yogi or the impersonalist, it's not manifest for them as well either. If you actually want that form, it's got to be imbued with love. And then not only do you see, not from the ascending process, the descending process, that Krishna actually manifests face to face. It's such a great, like, promise at the end of the road that you're actually going to have witness of Krishna.
It's so true. And here the way the commentary begins, this is real important to grasp. This is a real takeaway, for today. And it's something that we've spoken about many times, but always, is worthy of repetition. But that the absolute truth can be understood in three features. This is where the commentary begins. The impersonal Brahman. There's no denial that there is an impersonal or non-personal energy that is God's energy, right?
When people say things like, I am God, we're all God. The earth is God, you're God, the sky is God, the ocean is God. That is my God. The ocean is my church. You ever hear people say that?
Yeah, I mean, there's that too, like seeing God in nature. But then there's also like seeing like, even this material energy is an illusion. Like even like this earth and anything material is illusion.
Right.
Right. So then they're saying like, okay, so like anything material, anything that can be touched, anything composed of material energy, that's illusion. But reality is this divine spiritual light.
Where have you heard any book in the world explain spirit like this? Like, first of all, fully embrace that this is another vantage point of truth.
Right.
Generally, you never hear that. They're not going to say, well, here's our version of truth, but let me explain other versions that's not necessarily in our path, but we fully accept. You never hear that. You hear it right here. It's the most inclusive understanding of spiritual life right here in that first line in the purport. The absolute truth can be understood in three features.
This is so important. It's like if you're trying to explain your faith and bhakti to another person, here's a huge like tip, right? If you just say, I believe God is a person, people's minds are programmed to reject that, right? To see that as even like childish or, backward, like outdated type of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What to speak of if he's a little boy, blue, and all of that, right? If someone's gonna say to you,
blue
like,
person, God is a blue person.
You believe in some little blue person as God.
Yes, we do.
Slow it down and say that what's taught in the tradition that I'm following is that God manifests in several ways, right? Three in particular, that God manifests as just divine energy. That's one. It's real. It exists.
That is God. Every atom.
Yeah. But then God manifests in a second way within the heart of every living being, right?
Super soul.
The super soul. But also that
in a blue child.
Also in a personal feature that one could actually speak to. When you speak like that, just like, for instance, like the first presentation, God is a person, he's a little blue boy. Right there, like you filter out like a certain percentage of people like that are
like all capable. Of them,
not all of them, but like a lot, like a huge. Even if you just say God is a person, let's leave out the blue and the boy. Okay, you're going to filter out like a certain percentage of people, a large percentage of people. But then then if you say the same thing, but you do it in this broader way where you mention the three. A lot of those people that would have never made it through that filter suddenly make it through the filter.
This is years and years of me and Kaustubha trying to explain this to people, you understand? We didn't always get it right. Yeah. We sometimes dove right into, my Lord is a blue cowherd boy, and then we just lost the audience. So this is all trial and error on our part.
But you know what that illustrates to me? Is that this isn't always rational. Right. In other words, people think, oh, your whole thing is irrational, but they're not thinking rationally because it's just like their mind is programmed to reject the idea of a personal God because we don't want the boss, we don't want anyone above us, etc. So people that have with minds conditioned in that way, they're very adverse to hearing this direct message. But when it's somehow more complete, but it's somehow it's more acceptable to them, like to say, okay, you didn't jam your religious monotheistic kind of thing in my face. You gave me something a little bit more thoughtful,
A little more.
and suddenly they're not rejecting the idea of a personal God. Right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
as
almost
simple
like,
as that.
yeah, we're saying it can be impersonal and he can be personal. You know why? Because it's God. God can be
Right.
personal and impersonal.
Right. And so that's a fact. So now what we've done is we've presented something that's more like universally acceptable, something that has a feeling, it's truth, but it has that feeling of being broad-minded, right?
Yeah.
But now what Prabhupada is going to do is going to say, but that being a fact, there's still some distinction. So then he says, here here it is admitted that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in other words, the personal feature, is the last word in understanding the absolute truth. Right? Is the last word. In other words, that's the ultimate realization that one can come to.
Mm.
Right? Is to understand, because the impersonal feature, it manifests from the personal feature. Right? The feature within the heart manifests from the personal feature.
The sunlight manifests from the sun globe.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
they are one, but they're completely different also.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fundamental concept in what we're studying, these three features of the absolute. But again, what the Bhagavatam is trying to do is it's showing that there are earlier literatures that Vyasadeva provided us that speak less about the personal feature, right? And people may be, and due to that emphasis or lack of emphasis on the personal feature, people may feel like, oh, that personal feature is just a sentimental thing or something that you let go of at some point. Maybe it can be helpful for a certain point, but
Right.
then you let go of it. But the idea here is that no, is when his guru instructed Vyasadeva, he said, you haven't given everything yet. You've held back on this. And then the Bhagavatam is that mature fruit of Vyasadeva. It's the ripened fruit of Vyasadeva. It's the cream of the Vedic literature. This is where everything's explained. And in order to illustrate it, he's giving us examples like the four Kumars. We spoke about Shukadeva Goswami yesterday, right?
Yep.
Who had that Brahman realization, but then also had developed the interest in the personal form, right? If you've already got the highest thing, you don't go for something else. So the four Kumars, they didn't have the last word in the absolute truth. They had that Brahman realization. Now they're experiencing the personal form, and it's pouring out of them that, oh, now we get it. You are that supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form, right? Form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. Now we get it, that the supreme absolute, can manifest in form, can be manifest in form, and that form is not like the material forms. Now it's all starting to make sense. We're seeing it and we can understand it. And again, they say this transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, right? It's special mercy, actually. Like really understanding anything is by the mercy of God, but this is like special mercy. Like I'm revealing to you myself, right? I'm revealing to you my real inner self. It's just like, you can know someone, like say, Rogo has a certain level of fame. Someone may say, well, who is this guy, Ray Capo? I can read up on him. There's different magazine articles.
Read my bio, Prabhu.
You could read his bio. You can, you got a Wikipedia page?
I got a wiki
about you?
page.
Yeah,
I got a
so
wiki
there's a
page.
Wikipedia page. So people could gather some information, but that's not like but if they really want to know you, you have to reveal yourself to them, right? And so similarly, like knowledge of Brahman, that's more easily revealed. Even knowledge of Paramātmā is more easily revealed. But knowledge of Bhagavān, knowledge of the personal feature, he's not revealing it to everyone. It says this transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, your special mercy, through unflinching devotional service by great sages whose hearts have been purified from that knot, from that Hridaya Granta, in a devotional way, right? Only when you approach in that right way does he reveal himself fully.
Mm.
And the four Kumars are feeling that right now. It's happening for them.
All we're doing on this show is we're just going through working. We're trying to undo that knot. Just like sometimes you get a knot in your sneaker and you got, how am I going to do this? And you have different ways of picking that thing apart with your fingernails or a needle. This is what the Bhagavatam doing. It's loosening the knot that we have. And the knots, sometimes the knot's really tied and they're tight. Lifetimes and lifetimes of that knot being just like really tight in there. Sometimes it's wrapped in another knot and you're just like undoing, almost like you're undoing cords that get tied together and you can't get it apart. That's what the Bhagavatam doing. It's undoing it. It's the undoing of the knot in the heart. And we feel it. We feel like, oh, there's a little bit more slack here. There's a little bit more breathing room here. I feel a little bit more empowered here. I feel a little joy. I feel really a little bit more light right now. This is what's actually going on.
It'll be such a relief when we untie that knot, right?
Yeah.
When we let go. We just have to have a little faith and we have to experiment a little. But we just have to try to let go of our material attachments. Have the faith, our mind's programmed to say, if you let go of the material attachment, where's your happiness going to be? Right? Like, that is your source of happiness. And the mind becomes conditioned to, whether it's, vegging out in front of the television or scrolling nonstop or eating a certain thing or sex or drugs or the pursuit of fame or respect or the rock and roll might be wrong, but whatever it is, we're conditioned to think as soon as I let go of that, I start to feel a sense of withdrawal from it. I need it back, right? You have to pass through that withdrawal period, right? And then you're free of it, and then you actually feel lighter, right? That knot, that tight knot. And there's so many, as you're saying, it's like it's a complicated knot, It's like sometimes when you're a kid, you like somehow knot something up and you're like, how in the world did it get like this, So it's not an easy knot to untie. But if we have that faith that when it's untied, I'm going to feel such a sense of relief. And it'll be a sense of bliss. And that's what the four Kumars are feeling.
All right. Should we want to go to the next verse?
Yeah, 48.
48. Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engaged. Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engaged.
Okay, let's try.
They're missing a comma there again.
Okay.
Right? Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engage in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the slightest, for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions like the material happiness of a heavenly kingdom. You got to be over your desires if you want this highest thing.
Yeah.
You got to be you got to deeply understand that there is nothing of this material world that will satisfy your heart. You got to be completely locked in. Oh, Krishna, there is nothing of this material world that will fully satisfy me. And you got to get that. You got to fully believe that. And that's like a big belief. And it might take lifetimes to get there, where you're fully materially exhausted. But for some reason, I got a feeling everybody on Zoom is exhausted. Like, I'm exhausted with the material world. There's not some lover, secret lover, special soulmate. There's not a number of followers or material validation. There's no actual amount of money that will actually make me satisfied. I get that. We have to fully get it. And then we start to become really qualified to really make rapid advancement in the material world. We're always feeling like maybe him, maybe her.
What this verse does is it frames a construct that we're going to find throughout Bhagavatam, and that is the comparison of three basic points of view, or you could say three basic desires. One being material happiness, like I want a material benediction, And the ultimate material benediction is like the heavenly kingdom, right? In other words, like the higher planets where there's so much material. Some people look at the world, and this viewpoint is called the karmic viewpoint, right? That this world is meant to be enjoyed. That's what I'm doing here. And one can find that highest enjoyment on these higher planets, higher levels of enjoyment. So that's one thing. And then the other one is actually, no, this world's a trap. I get it. With all the material enjoyment comes suffering. I don't want to enjoy the things of this world. I want to let go, and I want to enjoy transcendental peace. And we call that liberation here, right? So it's saying this last sentence of this verse, such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions, like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom. Right? You might read the four Vedas and think, oh, the happiness of the heavenly kingdom is what life is all about. Or you might read the Upanishads and say liberation is what life is all about. Well, the Bhagavatam's clarifying things here, right? And notice that it's saying that such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation. It's actually calling liberation like a material benediction because it's kind of just the other side of the coin, right? There's like, let me enjoy the material world, let me reject the material world.
Right.
But both of them, the consideration is, what do I get? Whereas in bhakti, it's like, what do I give?
Boom.
Right?
You're onto something. Look at Mara. She's typing away. The hashtag. It's a good one. That's a great point.
Yeah. And it's only when we start to think like that do we actually experience the higher, our real nature, the higher bliss. So, but what does that look like? Okay, that's an interesting theory, right? Like you're saying that I shouldn't be focused on. It's not wisest to be focused on trying to enjoy material things. That makes sense to me. I can get that. But even liberation, even the freedom from the suffering, like letting go of material attachments, but wanting that peace is still a type of materialistic thought. It's still like, what I want peace, right? It's still disconnected from my source, which is actually my own true self-interest. Well, what does it look like when I'm connected to that source? How does it manifest? What am I looking for here? And this is the big clue. Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are. Okay, this is the third, the third alternative. They engage in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities of the pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. There's so many things that we're focused on that are not worth chanting and not worth hearing. But those people that understand the full, they purified that desire from materialistic, I want this, to the, I want liberation, I want freedom. And then the third one is, I just want to serve. I want to please that divine source, and with a sense of love. Shall we read the commentary?
Sure. The transcendental bliss enjoyed by the devotees of the Lord is completely different from the material happiness enjoyed by less intelligent persons. The less intelligent persons in the material world.
Raghu, okay. Raghu, can you hear me? Something weird happened.
Yeah, something weird happened.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
What?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you said the less intelligent persons in the material world.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it was like some kind of special.
The less intelligent persons in the material world are engaged by the four principles of benediction called Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Put that on the board, Mara. Those are the four. What do they call them? The Purusharthas?
Purusharthas, yeah.
Generally, they prefer to take to religious life to achieve some material benediction, the purpose of which is to satisfy the senses. When by that process they become confused or frustrated in fulfilling the maximum amount of sense enjoyment, they try to become one with the Supreme, which is, according to their conception, mukti, or liberation.
Okay, so those
but there are five kinds of liberation.
Those are the two things that have been discussed in this right? Let me try to enjoy the material world. Oh my God, it's frustrating. Let me find peace and merge into
Right.
the oneness, or become God, or merge into the divine light. However you want to say it, that's
Even,
liberation.
even that concept of dharma is material. And in America, you could translate that to people: be a good person, be a good citizen, be a righteous person or a good neighbor. That's your idea of dharma. Your dharma is to get you artha, gives you some good work in the world, and then it fulfills your material desires. And then finally, you realize, this world is not so good. Let me get out of this world
Then you want
because
mukti.
I'm not happy here. So what can I do to be happy? And that's your point. And we're saying actually all four of those are all meant to bring you to bhakti, actually.
Okay. You know, we're running
They're
out of
all
time.
got
Maybe
a root in a type of selfishness.
That's right. All right. Mary, do you have any takeaways for today?
Yeah, I do have a few. Eagerness is everything.
Eagerness is
Krishna-
everything.
Yeah. Krishna comes only when he's invited.
Yeah.
Untie the knot of material attachment in the heart.
Okay.
Ooh.
You have to let go to
T-shirt.
grab the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Knowledge.
remember saying that, but
I think Kaustubha said that actually.
You don't pay
That's
attention
why.
to that part, right?
Knowledge of Bhagavan comes only from mercy and bhakti. Nothing in the material world will satisfy your heart. And it's what can I give, not what can I get.
Boom.
like it, Mara. I like it. Hey, it's Thursday. It's Tell a Friend Thursday. Somebody who's it's really Tell a Friend Friday. If you know somebody who's sort of on the spiritual precipice, sitting on the ledge, should I get into spirituality? I need something, and they're going through something. Steer them in the direction of wisdom of the sages, or write something down, one of those little takeaways, and you can take a picture of it, post it, tag wisdom of the sages. We'll repost it. There's a lot of lessons here that we can take in. You can read this book forever and take more and more in. Isn't it true? Hey, if you're listening on YouTube, which is fun, you get to see all the faces of everybody. I think you get to see our faces. I think. No, Mara's like, you don't see them. Okay, you get to see our faces on YouTube, Mara?
Yeah, whoever's
Yes,
speaking,
thank you.
you see their face.
You go to YouTube. Matter of fact, everybody can do this, even if they never go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, follow us, like it, leave a comment. Everybody do that today. It doesn't have to. It could be on any episode you like. Follow it, like it, leave a comment, hit the bell.
This is
There's a
subscribe
bell.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because that helps us. That
Why
all
don't
helps.
you
us.
do it like the Madhava's rock band or the.
What do you mean?
Once you go subscribe, right? You know, like that thing.
Oh
you know?
yeah, we should make a little video. Subscribe for super blissful life. Yeah, she's so cute. For super blissful life. Yeah, so subscribe. We should make a little video of me doing that.
You know, we're still accepting suggestions for the 500th episode, which is coming up a week from today, right?
Oh yeah,
Right.
and I'm gonna be somewhere.
Where are you
No,
going
I'm
to be?
not. No, I'm not. In the morning, I'm not. I'm going to be in Saratoga, teaching in Saratoga
Saratoga.
Springs, New Yorkers.
Huh?
That's Thursday night I am, but Thursday morning,
night.
what could we do?
What do we do? What do we do?
Longer? Should we get Raghunath Swami? Should we have live Q&A?
You know what I thought might be a great thing to do? I saw someone suggested. What if the people spoke? Like everybody shared like how Bhagavatam is affecting their life. What if we
that's
reached
good.
out to the
But we can't just be
That could be
random. It's got to be
interesting.
organized. We can make it act like it's random. Like, let's randomly pick Anthony M. like that, but it'll be all planned in advance.
Okay.
Desiree Moore, what's your story? Stuff like that. And then they
Yeah.
say how they came and their story and how they got here. And it's usually pretty exciting, but people tend to talk. You got to like limit it. We're like, Anthony M., we've heard enough. We're going to have to cut you off here, Anthony M.
Everybody's saying Raghunath Swami, which is possible. I just feel like it's a little early in the day to disturb
yeah,
because he's in
5 a.m.
Chicago, right? No, 4 a.m. for him.
Oh, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. That
I
is
mean,
a pretty
he's helped
interesting
at
one.
that time, but I don't know if I want to take those hours from his day, you know.
Yeah, let people, especially from his morning,
Yeah.
let people talk. It's sort of a good one. What do you
that could
think?
be a
All right,
good one,
let's
right?
work on that. Let's churn that around.
All right.
What about sound quality, especially the Zoom people that we sort of know but don't know?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know Chaitanya Sansini that well. Tell me your
Maybe-
story.
Well, we could have people write stuff in for the 500, then we could read them if you're concerned about all that kind of stuff.
All right, let's think. We got to put our little heads together.
All right, we're still open for suggestions.
We're open for suggestions, you guys. Thanks for joining us. And I can't do Sweet Baby Krishna tonight because of the kirtan.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should do it on Instagram Live. Check my Instagram Live. Maybe I'll have Justin. What do you think, Justin? Film the kirtan? Yeah, you're like, whatever. He'll do whatever. He's got a good attitude. Or he just said whatever. I can't tell. Which would mean he doesn't have a good attitude. All right, let's just dance.